Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unboxing Theories. It's been a long time, I know, but we are now in the new era, obviously, History of Kingdom Part 7, Jahan. Super excited about that. It's been a little bit, we all know it's been a little bit of a rocky road, but things are going really well. I'm really looking forward to this comeback. I'm super excited. Make sure you support them, make sure you listen. The only thing that's been a little bit disappointing for me in this era is that there hasn't been like, they usually have that cinematic like movie teaser that they do like right at the beginning where they kind of show the vibes of the kind of the aesthetic and what we're going to be seeing. We saw that. I think they've done that with almost every era. The one I'm thinking about right now is the one they did for Dan's era. But I'm pretty sure they did it for the other eras as well. And you can correct me if I'm wrong on that. I could 100% be wrong. It's been a little while since I've gone back and checked the other eras, like stuff that dropped. But almost every era they kind of do change things up. And I think honestly in Jahan's era a lot of things kind of had to fall through the cracks, simply because of them being on tour and things like that. So not to say that they couldn't have prepared a cinematic trailer for us before they went on tour. The editing team didn't go with them, so whatever. But either way, it's been a while and I didn't really want to make content until I had something a little more substantial, and we just had the MV teaser drop, and I think that's all we're getting other than like obviously the concept photos and things. I'm pretty sure that's all we're getting before the actual music video comes out. So I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna work with this. And even though the teaser is beautiful, unfortunately there's not a lot of story things there. That's kind of why I always like the cinematic trailer, because it kind of gave us like, oh, there's some interesting story things in here that we're going to see, or at least some themes. We can almost start to see some themes. But in this, we're just seeing a little bit of the song, which sounds fantastic, and a little bit of dance and some kind of like mood moments with them sitting in the sand. All of which are good, but doesn't really give me a lot to work with. However, we're still here and we're still gonna talk about some things and we're still gonna theorize some things, okay? So, first of all, one thing that I always like to note, and I'm pulling it up right now, is the different names for the concepts. So I always find that to be very, very interesting, and I always think that that's pretty important to the story itself in a way. A lot of times it does seem to hold some meaning. So I was very interested by the fact of the names of these. So let's see, one of them is irregular version, I believe. I'm sorry, I'm pulling this up right now as I'm talking, so I'm really on top of it today. Yes. So we have repetitive version. That's the first version that actually dropped for us, was repetitive version, which repetitive means something can like repeats over and over again, right? It's repetitive. It keeps happening. Interesting. Especially with the fact that for me, that word, when I think of that word and I think of kingdom, I think of the continual losses that the kingdoms have endured, right? Like we're thinking about Dan's kingdom. Dan's kingdom was lost. Chu's kingdom. We don't really know. I mean, Arthur gained his throne, but he lost it at some point. It's almost like a cycle that the kings keep going through. So I thought that was an interesting name, repetitive, something continuously happening. And yes, and then we have a regular version. Now that name to me didn't really ring any bells, and I was kind of like, that seems like a cop-out name. But honestly, something irregular means something that is not usual, something is not the norm. So interesting. And especially what came to my mind when I started thinking about that was the fact that I had been theorizing about Jahan. Maybe, he's kind of been like this really heroic, almost like protective figure throughout the series, but maybe he's not. Maybe behind the scenes, he's been doing something kind of shady. Maybe behind the scenes, he's been almost like puppeteering the other kings or manipulating the other kings into accomplishing something that he wants to accomplish. Now, this could totally be untrue. This is just a theory, remember, but, just a thought that I had, that maybe things aren't as we seem to think that they are, right? And then the last version was fatalistic version, fatalistic. So fatal obviously means deadly. So something that is fatalistic is something that is dangerous or deadly. Also very interesting, especially with the name of the song that we have, which is Coup d'etat. I may be saying that. I'm not French. I'm sorry. I really did try to learn how to say it. Coup d'etat, I think is right. But that means, and I also have the definition for that, which you guys will see as well. But a coup d'etat is a sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from a government, a coup. So very interesting words to use there, especially with the fatalistic version of concept photos we see. So what caught me on that was that it was an unlawful seizure, right? So for the most part, I've seen the Kings as being maybe, we don't know a lot about Juan yet. I don't know when we're going to learn more about Juan, but I've seen most of the Kings, and maybe not Ivan either. Now that I'm thinking about it, he kind of stole the throne too, didn't he? But most of the time, especially Jahan, I wouldn't have thought that he would be the aggressor in that way. I mean, he has a kingdom, right? We know he has the kingdom of Sun. So I'm thinking, and I'm like, well, maybe his kingdom is being attacked, like how Dan's kingdom was being attacked, right? So I'm like, oh, maybe that's what it's going to be. Let's wait for the music video teaser. So now this drops, and the song is very powerful. It says things like, I'm sorry, I don't know all the Korean. I tried to listen, I couldn't catch many of the words, but it says rise up, run, run, run. Um, you know, very aggressive sounding words, right? So it seems like he's going on the attack from the song, just from a snippet of the song. I don't know. Again, this is me just kind of pulling things out of wherever, just trying to think about it. So if he is the aggressor, has something happened to his kingdom? Where he's standing for the most part, or like when we see them for the most part, they're in the sand. They kind of seem alone, very desolate area, right? So it seems like there's nothing out there. Not to say that he couldn't own that land, but it seems like there's not much of a kingdom in sight now, or like a castle or, area. Now, at the end, we see him standing in a structure that looks like it could be part of a castle or something like that, but it looks kind of old, maybe more like a ruin, which is interesting. Maybe something has happened to his kingdom. Maybe his kingdom was stolen from him and he's taking it back, or maybe I don't know. See, they just leaves me so many questions, especially the unlawful seizure of like, you know, a kingdom, right? If it is something, if he's on the offense and he's attacking and he's taking somebody's kingdom or taking land or taking something that wasn't his, that is just an interesting point. Now, maybe when they were making the name for the song, they thought, well, it's just he's on the attack. Maybe they weren't thinking about the unlawful seizure part like I'm focused on. But I don't know. It's very interesting and I'm very curious. Like, I wish we had gotten just a little bit more, like a little hint more of like what is actually going to be happening in this music video. Because really, we have no idea. We're going in blind here. But yeah, so what do you guys think about it? What do you think that this is Jahan going on the attack and everybody watch out, basically. Here he goes. Maybe he's taking the other kingdoms. Maybe he's taking the other kings. Maybe he's going to be like this king that's over all the kingdoms, right? I don't know. This is just things that I'm thinking about, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. Um, like I said, I don't really have a lot to go off of. I don't know if you guys do, but I'll be curious to hear more information from you. Maybe we'll get more hints as it comes up, but I think we're really not going to know anything until the music video drops, which is like, I'm waiting for Christmas morning now. I'm very excited. But that is pretty much all that I have. I don't have a lot else to go on. Again, the music video doesn't give us a lot. They're sitting in the sand, looking very desolate, looking into the distance, very cool looking, obviously. They look a little bit like they're, ready for a fight. And indeed, the song is very powerful. So it seems like that's what it is. But again, I could totally be wrong when the lyrics come out and everything, and I get to dissect those and see what they actually are talking about. Maybe he is on the defense. We really don't know. But to me right now, it seems like he is the one that is attacking. He is the one committing the coup d'etat. And we're going to have to just see what that means for their story going forward. So that is all I have for my brief theory today. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I would love to hear your own thoughts and theories, so make sure to drop them. All right, guys, see you then.